Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending on what time you're watching this video. For those of you that don't know, I am your Let's Go P6 teacher. My name is Teacher Kent. You probably haven't seen me because we haven't seen each other since the end of the school year. But starting from now, I will be your P6 Let's Go teacher. Now, we're gonna talk about your book, where I'm gonna meet you on Friday. If I'm correct, I need you to bring your Let's Go book. We're gonna be using that as well as your workbook. But for now, I am going to teach you what we're gonna be studying about. Here, let me just adjust my web camera here. Okay, good. We're going to be talking about a participle adjective. Again, participle adjective. So, what is a participle adjective? Before we go there, let's first define what is an adjective. An adjective is a word or phrase naming an attribute added to or grammatically related to a noun to modify it or describe it. An adjective is a word or phrase naming an attribute added to or grammatically related to a noun to modify or describe it. What does this mean? It means that an adjective is added to a sentence to describe a noun. Now, do you remember what is a noun? A noun is a name of a person, a place, a thing, or an event. That is a noun. So, for example, Teacher Kent, me, I am a noun. Teacher Kent is a noun. An adjective is a word to describe me, Teacher Kent. For example, Teacher Kent is energetic, full of energy. So, in that sentence, Teacher Kent is energetic. Teacher Kent is the noun. Energetic is your adjective. It describes the person. In that case, it describes me. Teacher Kent as energetic. Do you understand? It's okay if you don't because I'm going to be giving more examples and we're going to be talking online during our online class. Okay, some participles like bored or boring can be used as adjectives. That's why it's called participle adjective. It's a combination of both. These are used in a slightly different way from normal adjectives. We usually use the past participle or its ending in ed to talk about how someone feels. Again, in this example, bored or boring. Bored is the one that has the letters E and D at the back of the word. That means bored describes how someone is feeling. If you are watching a movie and you don't like the movie, you feel that the movie is Boring, not bored. You feel bored. The movie is boring. Do you understand a little bit? Bored is for the person. Boring is for the thing. In my example, I think the movie is boring. In that sentence, boring describes the movie. I feel bored. There is a letter E and D. That means that is for the person. Another example. I was really bored during the flight. Not I was really boring during the flight. No, I was bored. Me or teacher Kent or you. You were bored. You are not boring. Okay? Because remember, ed describes the person in participle adjective. She's interested in history. Not she's really interesting in history. No, she is a person, and interested is talking about the person. So she's interested in history. Next example. John's frightened of spiders. Not, not John's frightening of spiders. What is that? That's wrong. There should be a letter ed at the end of the adjective so that you know that that adjective describe a person, a human. John. We usually use the present participle ending in ing to talk about the person, thing, or situation which has caused the feeling. Again, we usually use the present participle, the one that is ending in I and G, to talk about the person, thing, or situation which has caused the feeling. Look here. It was such a long, boring flight. So I was bored. Look at this one. Let me just write it down. I N G. Boring. It ends in ing. So this one, it describes the flight. Flight is not a human. It's a thing. It's an event. But if you want to describe a human, you say, I was bored. Ed. Ed, it describes the person. I. Another example, let me just clear everything up. And then let's go to the next example. Why isn't it moving? Oh, here. I really, I read a really interesting book about history. So I was interested. Again, interesting, ing. It talks about book. It's not talk about I. It talks about the book. If you want to talk about I, you should have ed at the end. I was interested here. Okay? Interesting, ing, talking about the book. Interested, ed. Uh, okay, let's go to the next example. Many people find spiders frightening. So they're frightened when they see spiders. Frightening or frightened means you are scared. Okay? Frightening means scary. So what is scary here? The people or the spiders? It's the spiders. I and G. Remember the last part? So spiders are frightening. If you're going to talk about the people, the they, you should have the letters E and D at the end. So they're frightened. Spiders frightening. people frightened. Why do you keep saving? Let's go to the next one, please. Be careful. Okay, you be careful. I'm boring is different from I'm bored. I'm boring means I cause me, other people to feel bored. That is not good. Here are some examples of when one person causes a feeling in another person. I was talking to such a boring guy at the party. He talked about himself for an hour. Now, boring, ing, you can use it for a person if the thing you're talking about is the person. Okay? If the person make you feel bored, then the person is boring. Here, ing is talking about the guy. The guy is boring. For you, as the person, you feel bored when talking to the guy. Boring describes the guy. It causes you, the person, to feel bored. That's the only time you can use ing if it makes you feel something. Let's see. Next one is she's a really interesting woman. She's lived all over the world and speaks 5 languages. She's a really interesting woman. Now look, ing. It's talking about a woman because she makes other people feel interested. Okay? You can use ing to talk about a person if that is what they make you feel. If you're talking to a guy, he makes you feel bored, he is a boring guy. If you're talking to a woman that is very interesting, she's an interesting woman. Okay, let's go now to another example. My math teacher at school was really frightening. He was always shouting at the students. Frightening again means you are scared. Frightening. The person, the teacher is so frightening. It makes the student very scared. Where is the... Let me just do something again. I need to annotate. There you go. ing. It talks about the math teacher. It's a person. He is frightening because he makes me frightened. I feel frightened. So this person is frightening. If teacher Kent is frightening, my students will say, teacher Kent is frightening. I feel frightened. Okay? What you feel is ed. What you describe to other people is ing. Let's go now to the next part here. Oh, wait. I need to clear all my drawings. Thank you. These participle adjectives make their most comparative by using more and their superlative using most. More if it's compared to one thing or another, two things. Most if it's the most, it's super. Example, I was more frightened of dogs than spiders when I was a child. Oh, see there? There's a comparison. You feel frightened more of the dog than spider. It compares the two, the dog and spider. The two makes you feel frightened, but you are more frightened of the dog. That book is more boring than this one. Oh, it compares another thing again. It compares, let's say, two books here. This first book and this second book. So you can say this book is more boring than this book. It compares two things. I think Dr. Smith's lesson was more interesting than Dr. Brown's. Again, it compares Dr. Smith and Dr. Brown. What else? For 24 hours of flight on Australia, I was the most bored I've ever been. It means you feel so bored that you cannot think of anything else. That is more boring. You would rather count 1 to 1,000 than go on a flight to Australia. Next, I think this is the most interesting talk we've heard all day. Most interesting. It's the best. Most means the best. It was the most frightening film that he'd ever seen. It was the most scary. I hope you understood some of my things that I taught you. Let's go to examples. Alarming. Alarming is what an alarming noise. The sound of a clock when you wake up and you're late for school. It's alarming. Another example is alarmed. I feel alarmed because of the alarm clock. The nurse feel alarmed because of something happening. Amusing. That TV program is really amusing. There's a TV program with a clown. It's amusing. It's not a person, it's a program. But the person feels amused. He was amused to hear his little son singing the band. See, this person is amused. He is laughing. He is enjoying himself. Boring. I've never seen such a boring film. The film itself, the video itself is boring. What you feel is bored. The students look bored as the teachers talk and talk. See that? The person is bored. Another example, confusing. I find these instructions very confusing. Could you come and help me? Look at that. The instructions is confusing. But the person, I was confused. The person was confused. Another example is depressing. Depressing means it makes you sad. The weather is depressing. Look at that. It's raining. The weather is so depressing. You feel depressed when it's raining. You feel sad. Exciting. It's something you do that makes you feel excited. This one, when you go ride surf, surfing is exciting. What you feel is excited. Yes, tomorrow I'm gonna go surfing. I'm so excited. Exhausting. Exhausting means you are very tired. Oh, if camping, you will carry many big bags, you feel tired. It's exhausting. You feel exhausted. Okay, after you camp, you feel, or you jog, or you go exercise, you feel exhausted. Fascinating. The brain is fascinating. Fascinating, it means that it's interesting. It's the same thing as interesting. When you feel fascinating, something is fascinating, you feel fascinated like that. And that's the end of our lesson. I hope you understood what I was talking about. And I would like to see you on Friday. Goodbye. Oh, wait, I just need to stop.